So welcome back on board Wildling. We're here today, Saturday, and weather's started to clear a little bit. We've had 3 or 4 days of pretty strong winds out of the east, and there's a pretty big residual swell that's still breaking over the breakwater here in the marina and rocking us around a little bit inside, but we're pretty well protected. And the wind's actually pretty calm right now, but it's about to switch around to the west, which is pretty sheltered for us. But so we just got no wind, but a bunch of waves today, and it's actually a pretty nice day here. Winter time over here seems to be just a constant train of storms coming and going. So a lot of stuff has gone on since the last video that I took. The guys are getting pretty close to being finished now with the work, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of a kind of a tour of what's happening here. Let's see, I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and start inside. And there's actually not a ton to see inside now because most of it's been all put back together, but just to take a quick look at what's going on. Okay, so inside the boat, all the furniture is back in place, the ceiling panels have been put back. There's just one ceiling panel on the front here that is not, and that is where, there's Robin right there, iPhoning. And so there's one panel here. This is where the line from the upside up system comes in from the mast, because it runs out along the boom and has the pneumatic release point for the release of the main sheet. And that line runs all the way back up through the mast and down into the ceiling here, and then gets routed over to the upside up panel, control panel, which has been installed but not connected yet. So it is over here. We're at the chart table. We just go down and look down under the chart table. Over here. There we go. Now there's a little upside up panel. Bunch of wires that control all of the pneumatic actuators and connect to the different sensors and things on for the load. And I'm also connecting it to the B&G instrument system, so I can set watch alarms on wind levels and wind direction, and as well as getting information about the rig load and the amount of heel on the boat, so we know how much force is in the rig at any point in time. We can set warnings and alarms, so it just makes it a much easier, safer situation to manage while we're underway. So very excited about this. I think it's going to be a huge safety addition to the boat, and looking forward to when we can try it all out. So that's going on here inside. That's about the only thing. Still a little bit of leftover kind of work here. We still need to get access to the ceiling above here to finish off a couple of things for the electric winches and the controls where we're running the sheet control lines back for the sail. So there's a little bit of kind of reassembly work to do there. Got some lines here for these are the sheets for the new Genoa that's still being made over at North Sails, the 3DI Genoa and 3DI Staysail, and then the regular heavy-duty storm jib that are both all being made. They should be delivered in March, so we've probably got about another 3 or 4 weeks to wait for those to be finished. All right, so let's go out and look in the cockpit, and a bunch of stuff going on here. So we made some changes over to the routing of the lines here. So the new stuff here is we've got now the guy line for the spinnaker, for the symmetrical spinnaker is all in and run, and we've got it's got its new blocker. We've got the blocker for the dagger board, and we have the blocker for the furling line for the Genoa. And this line is the Jenica sheet line that comes through. We added this little guy here to guide it back, because what we found was if we without this, it came up and it could possibly interfere with the blocking release arm on the spin lock blocker, and that could be dangerous underway. When you release the line, it could get wrapped up in here, and when you're trying to pull the line in, it could get caught, and then you could break this off, and that would be a bad thing. So put that little this little guider on there to just guide the Jenica sheet lines correctly onto the winch. So that was a little addition there. Over here we have the new John Boy rocket deployed John Boy, which is our man overboard safety device. So basically the way this guy works is you can launch it manually, pulling down the latch, and essentially it's got a little rocket inside, and it fires the John Boy, which is a little inflatable. It's like a tiny little mini raft. It's a little inflatable raft you can actually crawl onto, and it has a big flag that stands up, and you can see it's bright yellow, and so you can see it from a long way away. So this is connected to the upside up system, and if we hit the man overboard panic button, that will deploy automatically. So that's cool. Let's see, there's a couple of things we're doing to the dinghy which we haven't actually started yet. There's really only 2 projects left after the sails to really finish off. On the dinghy, we're having a hard time lifting it up high enough to actually touch onto the davits properly to hold it secure. So we're going to change the lifting arrangement a little bit. We're also going to modify the way we route all these lines that lift the dinghy up and down. There's a tremendous amount of force on these lines, the way they've been designed. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a 2-to-1 pulley system in. We're going to get rid of one of the turns. It's all hard to describe verbally. I'll show you when it's all done. And it'll end up coming around from this pulley that's on the end there, and it'll route back along the top to another turning block here. And you can either take it to the winch here, or we can take it to the electric winch and make it much easier to raise and lower the dinghy with just the electric winch. So it's just going to make the dinghy is going to fit better into the davits, and it's going to be much easier to raise and lower without having to grind away on the manual winch all the time. Okay, on the main helm stations, a few things here. There's really these three new buttons. I talked about them a little bit before, but just to explain, basically the 3 buttons are, one of them is to release the sheets. So basically it will release if the boat's getting overpowered. For some reason the automatic release hasn't happened, you can punch one of those buttons and it will release the sheets and unload the rig. So it's sort of an emergency kind of situation. You can deploy that. The second button is for the John Boy. So that will, and these are on both sides, both helms, so no matter where you are, you can should be able to get to them pretty quickly. So the second button is punch that, and it's going to mark the man overboard. It's going to, on the GPS, and it's going to automatically fire off the John Boy. So if someone goes in the water, that will fire. It'll also automatically fire and do the exact things. If someone goes into the water wearing one of the tags, or the man overboard tags, it will detect there's someone in the water and will automatically release that. And then you've got the automatic sort of the emergency stop button for the winches. Because we had this added as a safety feature, we've got most of the winches on the boat are electric right now, and they can do a tremendous amount of damage very quickly if they ever got jammed or stuck, or someone wasn't sure what they were doing, it's just as a nice safety feature that if you punch the red panic button there, it will cut power to all the winches right away. So it just makes it safe. Also, if there's a lot of kids or families kind of visiting on the boat, and you want everything kind of powered, but you want to disconnect the winches, you can just punch that button and none of the winches will operate. So kids can't accidentally get their fingers caught or kind of do any damage there. So here I think we've sort of looked at this before. What's new now is that we have the control lines now for the Genoa sheets coming back through. So they're rigged up now with the low friction rings where they come through, and the lines to adjust them now, down here. So you can basically adjust in 3 dimensions. You can kind of adjust the position of the sheets where they come through, and it's a pretty nice, very clean kind of lightweight system that the guys have put together for it. Looks really, really good. And we've got our new winch here, which is now electric. So this guy before was manual. This was an electric winch, which we used for our main sheet, and now we can do our Genoa sheets and also raising and lowering sails, head sails with it. So we've got our electric winch here, and the other one, electric one we had before, same kind of deal. And then the new controls are for the foredeck winch, which is the one that we talked about, I think, in the last video, where we'll be able to, from either of the helm stations, control the winch to be able to furl the Genoa and well, it's actually 3 sails it'll work off of: the Genoa, the staysail, and the storm jib. So they all operate from this guy. You can't hear it because it's up front, but we'll go and take a look at it. So that's some new stuff. Of course, we've got our automatic release blockers for the Genoa sheets now. They're all in. So on the upside up, that will release automatically. And then if we look at the boom, a couple of things here to note on the boom that we've done. So you can see the new, let's just make sure I can see there, the new straps that go around. Those are the straps that connect to the reefing lines. So before they were just, just the reefing lines themselves knotted around with a bowline knot, which gets kind of jammed up and also creates a lot of friction on the boom, and it tends to squeak and grind. This is going to be quieter and a sort of a neater system. So we've added that, and we're doing some work here at the back of the boom. That's where the releasable main sheet release point for the upside up is going to be. So we haven't installed that yet, so that's we're working on that right now. So that's one of the final points there. There's some work that we're doing on the lazy jacks and on the sail cover, and I'll talk about that in another video because that's kind of a little bit hard to explain. I want to wait till we've done a little bit more work there and to show you what I'm doing. And let's see, aside from that, so you can see the 3D system for the Genoa sheet coming in. We had to install these 3 connection points here. That was new. That's one of the main reasons we had to have all of the ceiling panels out, to place these new anchor points in here, and the points in this one as well to lead the main sheet, the Genoa sheet back. So that's all done. Okay, so we've got the new electric winch on the deck that's going to do our furling for our head sails now, and the blockers that are required to hold the furling lines. There'll be continuous loop furling lines that go through those blockers up to the winch. And the winch, we've got the same controls that we have back in each helm station. There's a duplicate here, right? So and then the other thing that we did, I didn't show you in the last video, but I'll try to here, is the new anchor. So new anchor here is it's the new Ultra anchor, and also it's this fairly elaborate looking flip swivel device that Ultra makes, which I haven't tried yet, but looked in the videos, looks pretty good. So essentially what it does is, no matter how it's raised, it always flips the anchor around the right way before it comes up into the davits. So it's a pretty ingenious kind of mechanical design they've got. It's a very heavy duty swivel, very, very sturdy. So hopefully that will do a good job. Yeah, so looking at the anchor under the bow with where it connects into the davits, on the longitudinal beam, we had a problem where if the anchor isn't held in completely solid, it can rock in a seaway and it bangs into the bottom of the longitudinal beam. And our last anchor, actually, we had quite a bit of damage to that beam we had to have repaired from that. So this anchor is actually even more of a problem because it's a bit wider. It's a slightly bigger anchor than we had before. Our original anchor was a 35 kilogram spade, and as you might remember from some of the other earlier posts that I made, that anchor was definitely dragging in winds over 25 knots, even in good holding anchorages, so we just felt it was undersized for the boat. So we've gone up to a quite a bit bigger anchor. So there's a lot of motion in here today with all these waves coming over. The new anchor's 45 kilos instead of 35. It's a different design, so it's a supposedly higher performance than the spade, and it's a bit wider, so we have even more concern about it potentially bumping into the carbon beam when it comes up. So we're having a stainless steel plate made that will be attached to the bottom side of the beam to protect it. So if there's any kind of wobble as the anchor comes up, or if the anchor gets a little loose underway and rattles up a little bit, it won't damage the carbon fibre beam. So that was a modification we had to make as well. So I think that pretty much does it for this update. Next steps are to get the sails fix up the dinghy and do a little bit of work on the lazy jack lines and the sail bag, and commission up the upside up system, get it all finally connected and working, and we are pretty much good to go. So lots of good progress, and very excited about the work that's been done so far. The guys have been doing a fantastic job, and really happy with how things are progressing, and looking forward to the finished product.